welcome. Today we're diving into something a bit darker, exploring the chilling side of winter. It's a season we often link with quiet, maybe even beauty, but it also brings this deep isolation, a unique kind of vulnerability. We've gathered some really unsettling accounts, things that happened during these cold months. These are real encounters, experiences that didn't have easy explanations and definitely left a mark on the people involved. These aren't just campfire stories. They're drawn from real experiences shared with us. Echoes of fear, really. And there's just something about winter, isn't there? The cold, the long, dark nights, that kind of stark quiet. It can really crank up our fears, make familiar places feel suddenly strange, almost like the world's holding its breath.
That's right. And it's interesting how that specific atmosphere, the winter setting, can really sharpen our perception of threats. It can make us more aware, but maybe also, paradoxically, give us a false sense of security in all that quiet. It creates this potent background for things that just shatter your sense of calm.
Yeah, exactly. A potent background. Okay, let's get straight into our first account. This one goes back quite a few years, back when getting your own phone line was a really big deal, especially for a teenager. So our narrator was young, maybe early teens, and had just gotten their own line installed. Then, late one winter night, maybe 3:00 a.m., the phone just starts ringing. Shatters the silence. The first call, it was just breathing on the line. They figured like a prank call, annoying, hung up. Then it rings again. Still just breathing. Now it's getting irritating, right? They demand the caller stop. The third call, though, that's when it changed. A man's voice this time, described as really gravelly, deep, and he starts laughing. He says, "I can see you. Why don't you come outside and play in the snow with me?" Just terrifying. The narrator hangs up instantly, completely frozen with fear, runs to wake their parents. Their dad tries to handle it calmly, checks the doors, the windows, makes sure everything's locked, tells them to just unplug the phone. Eventually, they manage some uneasy sleep. But the next morning, that's when the real horror hits. The narrator goes to open the blinds on their window, the one facing the backyard, and discovers these frost-covered handprints, just pressed all over the glass.
Wow.
Yeah, their parents see it, no denying that, and call the police straight away. And the police, they confirmed it, found a clear set of footprints in the snow, leading from the front of the house, right up to that back window where the handprints were, then over to the back door, and then back around to the front, like someone was methodically checking entry points.
Right, and that's such a powerful example of how something abstract, like a voice on the phone, suddenly becomes this terrifying physical reality. That shift from just hearing something scary to seeing those actual handprints on your own window. It just shatters that feeling of safety you expect in your home. It makes the threat undeniable and brings the fear right to your doorstep, quite literally. It really highlights how fragile that sense of security can be.
Undeniable is the word. That physical proof just changes everything. It turns fear into real terror. And speaking of unexpected dangers showing up, our next story is about how trying to do the right thing, a moment of kindness, can take a really scary turn. This happened early one winter morning, about 5:00 a.m. Still dark. Our narrator's driving their fiance's car, something about a parking sticker issue, so they had to park further away, in a bank lot. Okay, so they're stopped at a red light on the main road. And suddenly, this girl appears at the crosswalk, waving them down, looking really nervous. The narrator, cautious, just cracks the window a bit. The girl quickly says something like, "My name's Amanda. I know this sounds weird, but this minivan, dark color, with guys inside, has been following me the whole way home. Please, can you just give me a ride? I only live like a minute from here." So the narrator hesitates. We all hear stories, right? But they look at Amanda. She's bundled up for winter, seems totally coherent, not panicked in a suspicious way, just scared. And then, confirming her story, a dark minivan does slowly approach down the street. So, despite feeling a bit wary, the narrator unlocks the passenger door, tells Amanda to get in quickly.
That's a tough spot to be in.
Right. Amanda scrambles in, relieved. They drive maybe a block or two, and the minivan is still behind them. Smartly, the narrator decides to stop one house before the address Amanda gave. Tells her, "Okay, hurry inside, I'll watch till you're in." Amanda thanks them, runs to a side door, gives a quick wave, and vanishes inside. Okay, good deed done, right? The narrator pulls a quick U-turn to head back. The road's empty now, except for that minivan. As the narrator passes it, the minivan also does a U-turn and starts following them. Yeah, that cold dread feeling. The narrator starts taking side streets, trying to lose them, but the van just sticks right on their tail. They're heading towards the interstate now, feeling really panicked, and they call their fiancé, quickly explaining what's happening. Then on the interstate, the van pulls right up alongside them. The people inside make some kind of stupid, crude gesture, flip them off. Then they speed up, kind of blocking their lane for a tense few moments. But then suddenly, just as quickly, the minivan takes a different exit, gone. Huge relief for the narrator. But later, after the adrenaline wore off, something clicks. A really chilling detail. That stretch of road, Amanda said she walked. Totally dark, no streetlights, no businesses open at 5 a.m. And more importantly, the intersection she mentioned, 95th and Main. There's no hotel there, not even close. Not within 5 miles. The narrator, who was pregnant at the time, chalked up not remembering that crucial detail in the moment to, pregnant brain under stress. But still.
That story really throws the instinct to help into sharp relief against the potential danger, doesn't it? That internal conflict. And the narrator's quick thinking, dropping her off a bit early, even while trying to help. That shows a good balance of caution and compassion. It's a serious reminder about situational awareness and really listening to that gut feeling when something feels off, even if you're trying to be a good Samaritan. Yeah. Especially in those dark, isolated conditions.
Absolutely. Trusting that gut feeling is crucial. How you weigh helping versus safety in real time. It's intense. Okay, our next account sounds like something straight out of a psychological horror film. It's from a 21-year-old guy just moved into his first house. The neighbor is described as like a simple rectangle layout. It's late, around 2:30 a.m., and it's a freezing cold winter night. He decides to step outside onto his driveway for a quick cigarette, just enjoying the silence for a bit. But maybe 3 minutes in, he starts hearing this faint sound, really unsettling, like an old creaky piece of metal repeating just every few seconds. Then he hears tires on the road, closer now, and suddenly this man appears. Mid-40s maybe, riding what the narrator describes as horribly beaten down old bike, and this bike lets out this incredibly intense, ear-piercing, high-pitched squeak with every single pedal rotation. So the narrator is just standing there in his driveway as this guy rides past. And the man slowly turns his head, locks eyes with him. The narrator said the guy looked, and this is a direct quote, identical to Hannibal Lecter from the movies.
That's quite a description.
Yeah. But the really terrifying part, as their eyes meet, the man's face just twists into what he called the scariest, widest, jagged-toothed smile I have ever seen in my life. Compares it to the Grinch's smile, that unnatural ear-to-ear grin. The man keeps pedaling past, but he doesn't break eye contact, just keeps staring until he's out of sight down the road. The squeaking sound fades a little, and the narrator's thinking, is he circling the block? Starts trying to finish his cigarette really fast, wants to get back inside, but then the creaking gets louder again. And this time there's another sound. The man is laughing, described as laughing like a fucking maniac. He rounds the corner, heading straight back, right toward the narrator's front door. The narrator panics, stumbles back, fumbles with his door handle. He barely makes it inside, slams the door shut just as the man would have been right there. And no sooner does the door shut, he hears the man outside just scream at the top of his lungs, "Where'd you go?"
Chilling. Absolutely chilling.
He said he went into full-out battle mode. Runs through the house, kills all the lights, literally battle crawls to his bedroom to hide. For the next half hour or so, he's lying there in the dark, just listening, hearing that horrible bike squeaking for maybe 30 seconds every few minutes, circling, presumably. Finally, maybe after 45 minutes, it stops. Silence. The man seems to be gone. The effect. He quit smoking that very night, hasn't gone outside late like that since. But the lingering horror. He swears that sometimes, even now, around 2:30 a.m., he still hears that phantom squeaking noise outside his window.
That's incredibly disturbing. It's such a direct, sustained act of psychological intimidation, of stalking happening right there in what should be his safe space. And those vivid details, a Lecter comparison, the Grinch smile, they just amplify the terror. It turns something mundane, like being outside your house, into this primal fear experience. The fact that the sound of the bike, just the squeak, has become this lasting trigger. It really shows how deeply trauma like that can embed itself. The sound itself becomes the threat.
Yeah, the sound becoming the trigger. It's terrifying. It weaponizes memory itself. All right, let's shift gears slightly. This next story comes from the late 1970s. It's told by a mother recalling something from when she was a teenager living in a small, very cold winter town, remote place. So one really bitterly cold night, her mom tells her she needs to go outside and feed the cats. They apparently kept cats in an outdoor sauna building to keep them warm. She bundles up, heads out reluctantly. She gets about halfway to the sauna, and clear as day, she hears a man yelling, "Help me!" from the woods nearby. Understandably spooked, she runs straight back inside, tries to tell her mom, there's someone out there calling for help. But her mother just dismisses it, says, oh, it's probably just the wind whistling through the trees, tells her to go back out and feed the cats.
Easy to dismiss, I suppose, in that setting.
Right. So she goes back out, gets about halfway there again, and she hears it again, the cries for help. Even clearer this time. She said she was 100% positive it wasn't the wind. So she runs back again, and this time she absolutely insists her mother come outside and listen for herself. And her mom comes out, listens, and yes, she hears it too. definitely calls for help coming from the woods. So now they're alarmed. The mother calls for her husband. The narrator's grandfather tells him what they heard. The grandfather decides to investigate, cautiously goes into the edge of the woods, looking around. And what he finds is just weird and deeply unsettling. He sees a man wearing a long winter coat just standing there silently among the trees. The second this man in the coat sees the grandfather, he immediately turns tail and runs, bolts toward the dirt road nearby, jumps into a car that was apparently waiting there, and the car just speeds off. Gone. The account ends with the narrator saying, basically, I have no idea what the guy intended, but I'm just glad my family never found out.
Yeah, that has some really chilling implications. The immediate thought is, was this a trap? A false distress call to lure someone into the woods? Why else stand there silently and then flee instantly upon being seen? It plays on that very natural human instinct to help someone who sounds like they're in trouble. Turning that instinct into a potential weapon, it suggests a very malicious intent, especially given how isolated and cold it was. Running away like that strongly points away from genuine need.
It really makes you second-guess things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A cry for help that might not be real. Okay, for our final story tonight, we're moving to a much more public place, a busy mall parking lot. This happened about 6 years ago, right around the holidays. Our narrator was very pregnant at the time. She finds an amazing parking spot, what she called a rock star spot, only 3 rows from the main mall entrance. Felt super lucky. But maybe, she thinks later, that proximity was actually what saved her. She comes back to her car after getting her engagement ring cleaned inside the mall. She uses her keyless entry fob, clicks it, opens the driver's side door, tosses her purse onto the passenger seat, and sits down. Only, there's already a woman sitting in her passenger seat.
Whoa, just got in.
Just slipped right in. The narrator realizes the woman must have seen her unlock the car and just opened the passenger door and got in before she did. And she mentions a crucial detail. Back then, her key fob was set so that 2 clicks unlocked all the doors, a setting she says she changed immediately after this happened. So the narrator is stunned. Her door isn't even fully closed here. She's still got one leg kind of out, ready to bolt if needed. And this woman starts talking. Claims her car broke down, tow truck is going to be 3 hours. She needs a ride to a hotel over at 95th and Main. But the narrator says something just felt wrong. Deeply off about the whole situation, the woman's demeanor. So she refuses the ride, says, look, the mall's open for hours. You can wait inside where it's warm. But the woman is persistent. She's actually buckling herself into the seat, putting her purse down by her feet like she's settling in for the ride, insisting she has nowhere else to go.
Just making herself at home. The audacity.
Exactly. So as the narrator trying to firmly say no again, explaining the mall hours, there's an interruption. Remember, it's close to Christmas, prime parking spot. Someone waiting for the spot gets impatient, hops out of their car and starts yelling like, hey, are you leaving or what? And in that instant, the woman in the passenger seat just gets out, takes off, walking quickly, gone. The yelling driver, after the narrator quickly explains what just happened, actually offers to follow her out of the parking lot to make sure she's okay. But here's the kicker, the really horrifying part. It wasn't until the narrator was actually driving away from the mall, heart still pounding, that it hit her. She suddenly remembered there is no hotel at 95th and Main. Not there. Not anywhere close, not within 5 miles of that intersection. Again, she kind of blames the stress of the moment and the pregnant brain for not recalling that critical fact while the woman was right there beside her. But the lie, its purpose. Chilling to think about.
That is just staggering. The sheer nerve, the predatory nature of just getting into someone's car like that in a public place, and her behavior buckling in, placing her bag. It shows such calculation, exploiting that split second of vulnerability when someone unlocks their car. The narrator's instinct, keeping her door open, one leg out, listening to that off feeling that was absolutely crucial. And the delayed realization about the hotel address just underscores how stress can mess with your immediate processing. It makes you realize how easily a seemingly simple request can mask a terrifying situation, especially when you're already feeling vulnerable, like during pregnancy. It's a huge testament to the importance of situational awareness.
Absolutely. These stories, they're all different, but they share that thread, don't they? That sudden crash of fear into just normal life, your own home, your commute, just stepping outside for a minute, even a busy mall, places you think are safe, routines you do every day, and suddenly danger is right there, unexpected.
Exactly. And if there's one thing that ties them together, it's the power of that gut feeling, that instinct. Every story, in a way, highlights how important it is to listen when something inside you screams that things aren't right. They're really stark reminders to stay aware, Be aware of your surroundings, question things that seem off, and understand that vulnerability can pop up anywhere, anytime, maybe especially in those long, dark winter months.
So thinking about these accounts, these really unsettling experiences, what stands out most to you? How does hearing these real stories maybe shift how you think about safety, even in places you know well? It's definitely a lesson in vigilance. We want to thank you for joining us for this deep dive into some truly chilling winter encounters. Please stay aware and stay safe out there. If these stories resonated with you, maybe gave you chills like they gave us, please do hit that like button. Share this deep dive with anyone else who appreciates these kinds of real, unsettling tales, and definitely subscribe to our channel, Horror Docs, for more incredible true stories. Until next time, just remember, sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that actually happened.